Do you not think that the monarchy is like a figurehead of the country, bringing people together, especially with the turbulent times at the moment?
No, not me. No.
Right, this one, guys, is a protest against the monarchy, believe it or not, after we've just had VE Day. There's music in this one, unfortunately, for me, and for you, because obviously I've got to mute stuff out, so I'm going to do the best I can, give you an idea as to what it's about, see if I can get anyone to speak to me, and take it from there. But as I said, there's music, so I've already had a near copyright problem with the VE Day music, so I've got to be careful with this one.
2021 in the polls.
Hello guys, can I ask you a couple of questions? What are your hopes for the future without the monarchy?
So where are you from?
Sorry?
So can I ask where you're from?
I'm from a YouTube channel called Spinning Colours.
I guess I hope for a democratically elected head of state, someone chosen by us the people, to lead us.
Do you think that's going to be better than what we've got now, considering all the problems that we've got going on in society at the moment, with no head of state?
Yes, absolutely. I think fundamentally we should be able to choose our own future. We should be able to choose our own leaders. And I trust the people of this country that will make the right decision. I want to throw away £500 million a year on unelected people who lead us.
Okay, thank you for speaking to me. Thank you.
The polls show that 60% of the Dutch now support the monarchy.
Let me see if I can get a conversation from somebody else.
The royals themselves are not more popular. As it turns out,
hello guys, would you mind giving me a chat? Having a chat with me? You don't? Would you mind having a chat with me, guys? Would you mind having a chat with me for a minute? I just want to ask you, what are your hopes when, if you get rid of the monarchy, what are your hopes for the future of this country?
Well, I'm an Australian. I'm here supporting Republic. For Australia, we have a head of state who is King Charles, who doesn't live in Australia, doesn't have an Australian passport, shows up about once every 10 years, and is our head of state. So our objective is quite clear. We want Australian as a head of state.
What about the UK?
Well, I support the UK for what they're calling for. What happens after a democratically elected head of state is the obvious outcome.
Okay, thank you for speaking to me. Thank you. Okay guys, we'll see if we can try and get a couple of more. It's always good to have a few different
when is the Netherlands going to be a republic?
different people to have a conversation with these kind of things, because then you get a broad idea of what their hopes are. Hi guys, would any of you give me a chat, have a conversation with me briefly from a YouTube channel? It's all positive, it's not negative. Oh, it's a brief, 2 seconds it will be. I just want to ask you what your hopes are. What your hopes are for the future without the monarchy.
I'm not comfortable doing it, sorry. No.
Okay. Anybody else would like to give me a conversation? Nobody wants to give me a conversation.
We don't know when these states will move towards a republic.
Let me see if anybody else.
We don't know that. But the republic itself is right here. It's right here already. It's in our mind.
Hello. I'm just asking a few people what are their hopes. If you were to get rid of the monarchy, what would your hopes be for the future of the UK?
I think the political system does need to be changed, but I think for this movement we just need to focus on getting rid of the monarchy. So ultimately, the monarchy is simply the king is simply a ceremonial position.
Do you not think that the monarchy is like a figurehead of the country, bringing people together, especially with the turbulent times at the moment?
No, not me. No.
Okay, that's a direct answer.
I'm an atheist and I'm an anti-monarchist, so I can't sing "God Save the King." It doesn't mean anything to me.
Is there any vision though, without the monarchy? Is there any vision of what you think the UK would look like?
I think we should just replace. Initially, I think we should just replace what we've got now with a paid, waged head of state, president, whatever you call it, doing the same job as in just simply appointing the prime ministers, but with a small element of power, such as when what's the word, prorogue, when Boris Johnson prorogued Parliament and essentially lied to the Queen about why she should do it, she automatically said, yes, you can do that.
Right, okay.
So, you know, if you had a head of state with any element of power, you know, or responsibility, then they could have at least referred that themselves to the courts.
Thank you for
See
speaking.
whether that would have been okay.
Thank you for speaking
that's
to me.
all we really need.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Cheers.
Begins with the royal family. That's what they tell us. Yeah, exactly. And our theories of history are all based on the monarchy. Elizabethan and Victorian.
I mean, it should be more.
Right, you know what? Whenever I hear interesting conversation, I have to butt in.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, enjoy it.
It's really for my viewers. It's really nice to hear what's going on. Do you know what I mean? So instead of me just coming, I can hear it from the horse's mouth.
So did you come here deliberately for Republic, or
Yeah,
were
I
you
did.
just?
I came here. I come to protest generally, but I choose which ones are of interest. And this one's kind of interesting because it's kind of controversial, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? For a lot of people, it's controversial.
Well, it is, but they about a third of people disagree with having a monarchy, but we don't have that voice. So you would never know if you landed in England and watched the news or read the papers. You would never know that a third of people are opposed to the monarchy.
Yeah.
The establishment or whoever it is.
It's the establishment. Let's be honest.
Okay, they want to portray this image that everybody loves the monarchy, and that's the image, and they're very good at it because we pay for their publicity and we pay all that for their the press department and all that thing for the royal family, and they're very good at it, and they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But we know from independent surveys by organisations such as YouGov and Setanta, these are proper polls, we know that around about a third of people want to get rid of the monarchy. That we're not represented in the media in that. And so,
there's a lot in the mainstream media. There's a lot of stuff that isn't represented. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
which is the reason why people like myself, citizen journalists generally, we are kind of a really important part of it because we get into the nitty-gritty areas. You see what I mean? That the mainstream don't cover.
Well, social media now is is really important to us because there's no way the national newspapers would, for example, like the coronation. We were just talking about the coronation a couple of years ago. The way that we were treated was appalling. I'm not going to go on about my rights being breached, but people were unlawfully arrested. We were moved around. They implemented a law that really had never been used before against us, and they moved us so that we were not seen by the television cameras because they want to create this image that there is no dissent, that everyone loves the royals. So social media is very important to us because we'll never get that message out through the newspapers and the BBC. We often write to the BBC and say that we represent roughly a third of the population. Any chance of doing some equivalence or some fairness in your reporting?
I can't give I have to stay neutral on my channel. But obviously my viewers have their own point of view, do you see what I mean?
Of course, yeah.